At number 10, Rick Ross. On The Late Late Show with James Corden, he has a game called Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts, in which his guests have to either answer a question that could potentially get them in a bit of trouble or eat a bit of something nasty. 3 years ago, Corden was playing the game with actress Demi Moore. She asked him to name one celebrity who's disappointed him. Of course, as a talk show host, he didn't want to hurt any feelings, but since he was looking down at a mayo, cheese curd, and soy sauce smoothie, he decided to answer. The host explained his answer by telling Moore and the viewers that in the early days of the show, Corden had come up with a musical spoof about binge-watching Netflix to the tune of Ross's hit song Hustlin'. The men were supposed to be performing the song, but I guess before they could, he had a change of heart. Corden said, "We sent the stuff to Rick's people and Rick had seen it, loved it, and was so excited to do it." But then Corden and a crew member did the routine for Rick in the empty studio for the rapper to watch. Following that, Ross said, "Cool, I'm just gonna go to the restroom." Corden said about 20 minutes later, "We just stood there and he hadn't come back." Turns out Ross decided to leave and his manager came back to say, "Yeah, Rick's not gonna do that." At number 9, Pierce Brosnan. I guess James Corden's Fill Your Guts or Spill Your Guts game is effective because Rick Ross wasn't the only star he called out on his show. During the segment this time, however, guest Khloe Kardashian asked the host, "Name a celebrity who's been rude to you at a party." Initially, Corden was hesitant to answer the question, but you could tell a name came to his mind right away. Of course, being on the audience's side, Kardashian encouraged the host to spill. Finally, he caved and named actor Pierce Brosnan. The story goes that apparently at a U2 concert, Brosnan bumped into the host and his wife, but never apologized. Corden went on to explain, saying, "I've literally never felt anything like it. His arm went onto mine and just pushed me out of the way." Corden then added that he looked back at Brosnan and he didn't even glance at him, just moved back into his area just like that. Kardashian then suggested that he might have been drunk, to which Corden responded with, "Maybe he's just a bit rude." Mistake or not, next time Brosnan bumps into someone, he'll make sure it's not a late night host. That being said, Corden is one to talk, considering not too long ago he was banned from a restaurant for his rude behavior. At number 8, Cardi B. It's no secret that the rapper from New York is not afraid to fight. If you get on Cardi's bad side, there is no telling what she might say or do to you. One person who found out fast was her Love and Hip Hop New York castmate, Aisha Davies. Cardi joined the cast of the reality show, which follows the lives and relationships of hip-hop artists in its 6th season. During a reunion episode, Cardi ended up being exposed for her rude behavior, with Aisha Davies being her target. Basically, there was a lot of drama between the cast members and neither Cardi nor Davies had been particularly nice to each other. It all started because Davies did not like Cardi but would not give her a specific reason as to why. When at the reunion, Davies kept further avoiding the question, so Cardi B took off her shoe and nailed Davies in the chest with it. A quick brawl broke out between everyone before settling once again. This was a heavy shoe too, and it looked like it really hurt. It ended up that Davies was jealous of her boyfriend hanging out with Cardi, but regardless of what it was about, the rapper displayed some serious rude behavior. Regardless of who was in the right, there was never a need for things to get physical. At number 7, Christina Aguilera. Like a lot of other stars on the list, there have actually been quite a few occasions and even other stars who have had something negative to say about Aguilera. One specific star that exposed her for being rude is none other than the diva herself, Mariah Carey. Aguilera, I guess, did it to herself after stating in 2006 that Carey had slammed her at a party. Aguilera also made it a point to bring up Carey's 2001 breakdown. Aguilera said, "One time we were at a party and I think she got really drunk and she just had really derogatory things to say to me." Then she added, "But it was at the time that she had that breakdown, so she might have been very medicated." Now, even if Carey did have something mean to say about her, it was not very woman-supporting woman of Aguilera. I'm not saying she has to support all women, but she also doesn't have to talk badly about her on TV either. Of course, Carey did have something to say back, saying, "I'd hoped that Christina was in a better place now than the last time I saw her when she showed up uninvited at one of my parties and displayed questionable behavior." Aguilera wasn't done yet though, because in 2015, when asked about not having a Las Vegas residency, the singer responded, "I won a Grammy this year. Why would I go to Vegas and join Britney and Mariah in the Oldies Act?" At number 6, Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen had a bit of a scandal a few years ago when people started coming out and exposing her for not being as nice as she claims to be on the show. This was an especially damaging claim for DeGeneres because her literal tagline was, "Be kind to one another." Over the years, thanks to her own show, we can prove that the host has definitely had her fair share of rude moments. One moment that was particularly rude was when she made fun of a fan gift. DeGeneres was doing a segment on her show where she was talking about bad gifts that had been submitted by her viewers. At the end of the segment, she included a bad gift of her own, revealing a gift that she said was from a fan called JB. When she revealed the gift, it was a painting of both her and her wife Portia. The host joked, "It's called Ellen and Portia number 10. He took 10 tries, but he finally got it. He got it on number 10. DeGeneres threw a few digs at the painting, also indicating that it looked more like Ryan Seacrest and Kelly Ripa, saying she might have to gift it to them instead. To really drive home on how much she hated the handmade fan gift, she called it scary. And this is hardly the only time that she poked fun at her own viewers either. At number 5, Howard Stern. There have been countless times that Stern has exposed himself for being mean over the years, and I think hosting a live show has had a hand in that. Back in 2001, Stern had Freddie Prinze Jr. on the show, and he told the actor that his engagement and marriage to Sarah Michelle Gellar wouldn't last 10 years. Prinze and Gellar met on the set of famous horror flick I Know What You Did Last Summer and quickly became relationship goals within Hollywood. For some reason, Stern decided to share his thoughts on their relationship, which ended up being that they would spend a brief period of time sleeping together before going their separate ways. Stern was actually so confident in his own opinion that he put a large sum of money on the line. Stern bet Prinze $1 million that the couple wouldn't last long. In the interview, Stern said, "What are you gonna do when it's been 10 years with the same chick? You're gonna cheat." Despite the actor responding, "No, I'm not," to his quite rude assumption, Stern said, "I want to make a written bet with you now. In about 10 years, you're gonna hunt me down and go, 'Howard, I owe you money.'" Well, 10 years later, the couple is still together and they did not forget the bet. In 2022, Gellar took to Instagram to remind Stern of his debt, writing, "I think you owe us." At number 4, Mariah Carey. I mentioned the singer when talking about Aguilera being mean to her, but don't be fooled, Carey has had plenty of times where she was being exposed for her not so nice behavior too. One time, Carey was exposed for her rude behavior by her short-lived fellow American Idol judge, Nicki Minaj. The pair started as good friends, collaborating in 2009, with Minaj even praising her for being a sweet, down-to-earth person after expecting a diva. Minaj ended up speaking too soon because she eventually got a taste of that diva behavior. The women did not get along while both being judges on season 12 of American Idol. In 2013, the rapper opened up about her experience working with Carey, and it was totally different from her previous thoughts on Carey. Minaj spoke to Ellen DeGeneres, telling her that initially Minaj had heard that Carey did not want her on the panel, but she didn't believe it. However, when they did begin to work together, Minaj started to feel the shade, and that rumor she heard was sounding less and less like a rumor and more like a fact. Minaj even said that Carey overcompensated by being even crazier. Neither artist ended up returning to the show, and Fox executive Mike Darnell backed up Minaj when he said Minaj was not the problem, blaming Carey for the fighting. At number 3, Wendy Williams. The Wendy Williams Show was on the air from 2008 all the way until 2022. That is 14 years of live TV talking with and about celebrities. With Williams, that also means 14 years of messy moments on the air. No one has ever had to come out and expose the host for her rude behavior because she does it all on her own. Williams once referred to actor Terry Crews coming forward and speaking out about his essay as not brave because he was just talking. Williams also once asked 18-year-old Marcus Scriber if he'd ever had sex before live on the show with the actor's father watching just off camera. He was clearly uncomfortable with the question and avoided giving the answer. Basically, Williams spent a decade making fun of the stars because the host also once made fun of Ariana Grande's appearance, claiming that because she's too small, she's not a woman. Williams said, "When you look too young and then you're short, she's only like 4'11", like I don't look at her as like a woman." Clearly, Williams has always truly said whatever comes to her mind, and unfortunately, it's often just mean. These examples don't even begin to scratch the surface either. At number 2, Barbara Walters. There seems to be a theme between celebrity interviews and the host not being nice. One woman known for her persistence for a story, even when inappropriate, is Barbara Walters. She has had many instances of being rude on air, but one particularly mean interview is her infamous one from 2000 with Ricky Martin. At the time, there were rumors going around surrounding Martin's sexuality. While so many people assumed Martin was gay, the singer did not go public about his sexuality until he published his 2011 memoir. During his interview with Walters, she urged Martin to stop these rumors and define his sexuality. Not only is it rude, it's just so unnecessary. I'm sure he had plenty of other things to talk about instead. Walters said, "You could say yes, I am gay, or no I'm not. Martin then replied, "Barbara, for some reason I just don't feel like it." Over 2 decades later in 2021, Martin said when she dropped the question, "I felt violated because I was just not ready to come out. I was very afraid." The singer also revealed that he suffers from PTSD stemming from the interview with Walters. There are plenty of other instances throughout her long career that Walters was exposed for being mean too. Ricky Martin is unfortunately just one of many. And at number 1, Madonna. Over the years, Cher and Madonna have not gotten along so well, and we know that because Cher has told us so on more than one occasion. When it comes to a few interviews though, I'm not sure which woman is being exposed for being mean. On one hand, Cher is telling us how rude Madonna is, and on the other hand, Cher is sitting on live TV trashing Madonna. Once, when asked about Madonna, Cher said, "There's something about her that I don't like. She's mean. I remember having her over to my house a couple times. She was just so rude to everybody. She acts like a spoiled brat all the time." Then, directed towards Madonna, she said, "You should be a little more magnanimous and a little bit less of a C word." Of course, Cher used the actual word, and in doing so, shocked the interviewer. I mean, maybe she's totally right and Madonna was really rude to her, but then again, she's saying some pretty mean things to the world. In another interview, Cher said about Madonna, she's unbelievably creative because she's not unbelievably talented. She's not beautiful, but she's rude. What do you think? Did Cher expose Madonna for being rude, or herself?
So starting off with number 10, we have James Corden. James Corden is a TV host that seems incredibly nice on camera, but he's also pretty well known for being awful off-set. His rep is so bad that he did a Reddit AMA in 2019 and it practically turned into a roasting session, with tons of people bringing up terrible encounters they had with Corden. One user reminded everyone about the time that Corden showed up to a private Writers Guild meeting to advocate for lower pay for TV writers, even though they're known for being paid pretty low wages already. Another brought up how he saw the filming of A League of Their Own live, and he said he saw Corden throw multiple tantrums over very minor things. He also said that he got angry when fans politely asked for photos. Another Redditor spilled some major tea on some of the other late night hosts, along with Corden, saying, "I have an acquaintance who came over for dinner who had been on the writing staff for several late night shows, and he said that James Corden is an ass. Jimmy Fallon isn't fun to be around because he's a hopeless alcoholic, and that Jimmy Kimmel is a genuinely sweet, kind person." So yeah, there seems to be a lot of people pretty adamant that Corden's TV persona is completely fake. Next up at number 9, Bill Nye. Okay, so this one's incredibly shocking, and there's a part of me that's praying that it's not true, but also I don't think this commenter has any reason to lie. So one Reddit user wrote on a thread talking about good celebrities that they had an interaction with. One user said, Bill Nye. Granted, in the last few years, he's revealed himself as a self-centered jerk, but I'm reminded of a story from a podcast a few months back. A girl was working retail at a clothing store and Bill Nye walks in. He ends up at her register and she says something to the tune of, "Hi Bill, I just wanted to say I appreciate what you did for getting kids into science. I grew up watching your show." Then Bill replied, "And look where that got you." And when I tell you, my jaw has literally never dropped so far. This is just so insane to me because he seems so nice on his show and so many kids have grown up idolizing him, including myself to be honest. So to hear that that could just all be a lie is really, really sad. Like, I feel like I just ruined Santa or something. It's really, really, really unfortunate. Comment down below if you grew up watching Bill Nye. Like, I used to love him before I had to report that story. Then in at number 8, Adam Brody. So YouTuber Gabby Hanna went full savage in a video she did with Joey Graceffa called Rudest Celebrities We've Met. In the video, she explains how she was asked and paid to go to an event for a new TV show that was starring Adam Brody so that she could go and make vines with him for promotion. And this was back when Vine was massive and Gabby was getting tons of views on the platform. So she goes to the event and when she meets him, he already seems like very reluctant to do the Vine with her, and when he asks for her ideas, she gives him her best idea and he savagely replies, "What else do you have?" Ooh. So at this point she was freaking out, but she did come with 3 ideas, so she gave the other 2, which he also was not interested in. He even at one point said to her and his team, I don't really want to do that. So after refusing to do a simple 6-second Vine with her, they didn't end up collaborating. But she did get some sweet revenge. When an interviewer at the event asked Gabby later on, "You just met Adam Brody, how do you feel?" she looked confused, acting like she didn't know who he was. Then she pretended to remember and said, "Sorry, I've never seen The Hills." to throw some shade because Adam Brody and the Hill star Brody Jenner were constantly getting mixed up because of their similar names. In at number 7, Alicia Keys. So this is another one from a Redditor on a thread talking about rude celebs. This one was about Alicia. I worked security at a local concert venue for over 10 years, and she was hands down the meanest artist that I rubbed elbows with. One night I was asked to stay late and work a meet and greet in the catering trailer after her show. I stood next to Alicia and her assistant at the time, guessing around 2006, while she met a group of fans one by one. Each fan gave her gifts and flowers and had roughly 30 seconds to say hello. Being so close, I was able to hear every word she said to her assistant, and it wasn't pretty. She basically badmouthed the entire group. She had something negative to say about almost everyone's outfits and appearance. Considering how long ago it was, here's to hoping that she has grown up since then. Wow, yeah, I'm hoping that she has changed since then, because making fun of fans that waited and probably paid to meet you in a meet and greet just seems like the most disgusting thing ever, honestly. Like, that's probably the lowest thing, to make fun of your fans and the people that support you. I don't know. Then next up at number 6, Usher. So another Redditor spoke about Usher, saying, I met Usher at a party once. One of the rudest and most diva-like people I have ever met. Made small talk with him about his time in the country. We were both visiting the UK at the time, and mid-conversation, he asked what made me think I could approach him. Keep in mind, we were both guests of a mutual friend. The dress code was black tie, and he rocked up in a t-shirt and hoodie. Another dude asked for a picture with him, and he was like, how about you go get another drink instead, and walked off. This was on the street then, for sure, but again, this was at a party where literally everyone was taking selfies. The guy who threw the party found out and had a few words with him. He stayed about 30 minutes and then left. Like, bro, just don't show up if you're not gonna have a good time. I've since spoken to more people who have met him, and this seems to be normal behavior. Yeah, this just seems ridiculous. Like, how on earth could anyone think that they can say, what made you think you could approach me? If this is true, Usher is straight up horrible, and I'm hoping this is part of his karma, because this is just wild and gross. Then up at number 5, Julia Roberts. So another one from Reddit, but this one was actually backed up by a ton of other commenters. So this seems pretty legit to me. A user said, I worked on a photo shoot with her, and all I gotta say is wow. From the moment she showed up to the moment she left, screaming at everyone about everything. An absolute B to the nicest people who didn't do anything to deserve it. Apparently that's how she always behaves when there's no cameras on her. Lost every ounce of respect I had for her that day. And then someone replied under that, it's pretty well known that Steven Spielberg hates her because she was a pain in the ass to work on the set of Hook. She was in her early 20s at the time and acted like a spoiled little brat. I guess she never grew out of that. And wow, Julia Roberts? I guess I can't watch Eat, Pray, Love the same way again? That sounds like one of my all-time favorite movies. Ugh, Julia. Julia, that is just something. Next up at number 4, Jerry Seinfeld. So this one's about Seinfeld, whose whole brand is about being likable, down to earth, and clean with his comedy. One user wrote, Seinfeld came into a restaurant I bartended at for an interview for a magazine. He was a regular for us. When he came in, he'd act like someone of his caliber. Wants to eat as soon as he can and then duck out. When people noticed him, he'd wave and keep it pushing. No one ever bothered him because everyone knew him from the neighborhood. On the particular day that he comes in to do his interview, he tells his server, the same girl who always serves him, to F off when she comes to do her how's everything going for you round. She'd only come up that one time after the food was dropped off. The interview stopped there. Interviewer got up and left. Seinfeld throws his hands up and leaves shortly after. Nothing appeared to be off before, during, or after in terms of his behavior. It took everyone by surprise, including Ron Howard, who had just finished his meal. Okay, so I have so many questions about this one. Firstly, why would he be such an ass at a restaurant that he goes to frequently? That doesn't make any sense. And also, he clearly gives no shits if he was gonna be that rude in front of a reporter. Like, what if the reporter decided to include that in whatever interview that they were doing? Also, shout out to that reporter for not having any of that and just leaving. They must have been someone pretty high caliber to have the guts to do that and just leave Seinfeld, but props to them. And then lastly, the part about Ron Howard just being surprised was hilarious. I can just picture him in the restaurant like giving the biggest side eye while eating. Oh my god. Next up at number 3, Demi Lovato. Okay, so this one's really messed up and slightly dark, so I just want to warn you guys. Another commenter wrote, a few years ago, I was with a coworker friend and Demi Lovato was at an event near where we worked. Now, I did not and still don't care about her, but my friend was so over the moon for her and went on about how she had her book, how Demi got her to stop cutting, and so on. Demi walks our way and my friend starts to say things like, "Oh my god, you got me through my depression," and Demi made a face, rolled her eyes, and walked around us. It broke my friend's heart. She never mentioned Demi after that. Okay, I'm really hoping this one is not true because Demi's always been such an ally of mental health struggles and she speaks so openly about her past with depression. It's really upsetting that she would just ignore that kind of comment from a fan. I'm really hoping that Demi was just busy here or didn't hear her correctly or something else that could excuse this, because this is truly, I'm not saying this commenter's lying, but wow, that is just seems so off brand. That seems really strange, but I guess that's what these are all about. In at number 2, Jeff Daniels. So another user on Reddit wrote, "Jeff Daniels is the guy from Dumb and Dumber. He lives right next door to my cousins and is very disliked in the community. He always assumes everyone will mob him and ask him for autographs or whatever, so he won't interact with anyone. He's lived next to my cousins for at least 15 years and he's only talked to them once or twice. My favorite anecdote is that my grandpa once sat next to him in a bar and tried to strike up conversation. Jeff Daniels was an ass and left. The bartender told my grandpa not to worry about it, he just doesn't like to talk to fans. And my grandpa was like, wait, who the heck was that? It turned out my grandpa had never heard of Jeff Daniels. He was just trying to be friendly." So this could almost sound like a case of someone that maybe doesn't realize that they're not famous anymore. Like, chill, not everyone knows who you are. And even if they did, it doesn't mean that they're gonna just drool over you and hound you for pictures or something. But if he's acting like that, he probably has kind of a shitty life anyway, so again, this might just be his karma. And finally, at number 1, Ellen. So if you watched Charlotte's recent video on Ellen, then you already know the tea on this. And I just gotta say, I was so happy to see that she was exposed, because I've seen online for years that Ellen is terrible to her employees and acts like she's, above everyone. So I'm happy that this shows that karma is somewhat real and you can't just be terrible to people and think that no one's ever gonna notice. Like, people remember things, and now the internet, stuff can get out there pretty quickly. But the main things that Ellen was called out for was treating her employees like garbage, getting angry when they talked or even looked at her, and having an incredibly short temper when anything went wrong on set. And then that doesn't even come close to how she treated random strangers. Her behavior is so bad that she was even given the title of notoriously one of the meanest people in Hollywood. So if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what does. If you want to know more of the details on her and all the stuff that she's done, go watch Charlotte's video.
Number 10, Rachel Ray. The celebrity cook has a reputation for being a meanie. Many fans in her audience have reported that before filming her show, she often avoids speaking to them and appears cold and disinterested, and just looks like she would rather be somewhere else. But it's not just her fans. In fact, several other famous chefs have publicly come out against her, saying that they straight up don't like her, including Martha Stewart and the late Anthony Bourdain. Even members of Ray's own family have turned against her. In 2013, scandal broke out after her aunt Geraldine tragically passed away while staying at Ray's house, but neither Ray nor her husband John showed up at the funeral. Instead, she was allegedly tweeting about cats, recipes, and TV shows, which led her cousin Gina Mesnick to speak out against her. She said, "I find it very insensitive and inappropriate. It just shows how demeaning Rachel was to my family on the day that we buried my mom after she died under such horrible circumstances." Her fanbase is now practically non-existent. In fact, a good portion of the internet harbors a deep loathing for the chef. There's so many online forums dedicated to Rachel Ray slander. In fact, there's even a blog called Rachel Ray Sucks, and you can pretty much guess what kind of things people post on there. Number 9, Russell Crowe. The actor has a reputation for being outright mean to both his Hollywood peers and his fans, making him an extremely controversial figure in the industry. I mean, where do we start with Russell Crowe? First of all, there were rumors that he threatened any media platform that published stories about him having a fling with Courtney Love. But another great example is his overall attitude when he intimidated and attacked the producer of the BAFTA Awards for cutting his speech short and preventing him from reciting poetry. In 2005, he was charged with criminal possession of a weapon for allegedly throwing a phone and cutting a hotel clerk's eye, all because he was unable to get connected with his wife. One of the lesser talked about incidents involves him and rapper Azealia Banks. Crowe forcibly removed her from a party that he was hosting. Not only was he said to have been violent, but he allegedly spat on her and used racist language. The Australian actor is also notoriously difficult to work with and is known for regularly shouting at his scriptwriters, yelling at them on phone calls while discussing the story. So it's safe to say that he not only lost a lot of film roles, but a lot of fans due to his outright nastiness. Number 8, Justin Bieber. In September of 2021, there was a shocking video posted on Twitter showing Justin running away from paparazzi and fully leaving Hailey Bieber while she falls to the ground. In the clip, you can see him get out of the car with his skateboard, then he just takes off without saying anything. At first it looks like he's alone and just doing his own thing, but then 1 second later Hailey appears in frame and she literally falls out of the car and looks flustered at the fact that she got left behind. To make things so much worse, this all happened on a busy street with so many people watching. She then sprints after him, obviously trying to catch up, but the thing is, Justin is already way out of sight. The whole incident must have been incredibly embarrassing for her, and that's exactly what the comments said. Someone wrote, "I know this keeps her awake every night, and that's why you shouldn't chase men." However, some fans were also very sympathetic to her situation, considering that a lot of people could relate to having a partner that just doesn't care about them. One person wrote, "As much as we may not like her, no female deserves to be treated like this by their husband. She deserves better regardless." Number 7. Chrissy Teigen. The 35-year-old cookbook author faced heavy criticism recently following reports of cyberbullying and extremely arrogant behavior, even for a Hollywood celebrity. So many celebs came forward to accuse Teigen, including Lindsay Lohan, Farrah Abraham, and Project Runway star Michael Costello, who all said that she was extremely cruel online. It was so bad, in fact, that she had to apologize for telling reality star Courtney Stodden to take her own life in 2011, and she only backpedaled on her comments when she was called out for them. When speaking about the incident, Teigen admitted that she was being, quote, "an insecure, attention-seeking troll," but it later came out that she was also bullying little children, especially when talking about a 9-year-old in 2013. She tweeted, "Is it okay to call a small child cocky?" Not only that, but a clip of the model went viral when she hosted the Billboard Music Awards in May of 2015. She was making her way up to the stage when a woman tripped over her own gown and fell, but instead of stopping to help her up or even check to see if she's okay, Chrissy just kept strutting her stuff. So if anything, there's no doubt that she's definitely a mean celebrity. Number 6. Jay-Z. The rapper's arrogance was at an all-time high in 2013 when he was heavily criticized by social activist Harry Belafonte for what he believes is a lack of social responsibility, basically saying that he wasn't doing enough for the community. Jay-Z then responded in the worst way possible. He said, "I'm offended by that because first of all, and this is going to sound arrogant, but my presence is charity, just who I am, just like Obama's is." He went on to say that Obama provides hope whether he does anything or not, and the hope that he provides for a nation outside of America is enough. So basically he's saying that he does the same thing just by being famous. Not only that, but in 2012 Jay-Z dissed Robert De Niro, who was apparently a big fan of his music. The actor reportedly called Jay-Z 6 times to work with him and received a grand total of 0 calls back. De Niro then verbally confronted Jay-Z about the situation and said that it doesn't matter who you are, if someone calls you 6 times, you call them back, because that is just rude. Number 5. Azealia Banks. The rapper has a laundry list of celebrity beef, but for whatever reason, she chose to come after Doja Cat in the worst way possible. Azealia went on a huge rant on her Instagram story last year, insulting both her looks and her music. She wrote, "Doja makes music for 10-year-olds and is very derivative. Cute girl, but her attempts at witty East Coast Roman reloaded flows are pitiful and not in the least amusing. And yes, she looked terrible before she lost weight." She went on to say that Doja has horrible bars and none of them make any sense. According to Banks, she adds nothing to the music world and needs to step up her pen game. Banks took the insult way too far when she was watching Doja's music video for Juicy. She wrote, "This bee is disgusting," and said her face looks drunk, tired, and lazy. The rapper also criticized photos from her Interview magazine cover shoot, saying that she deserved better and that there was a disgusting fridge in the background. Doja retweeted Azalea's comments, and in classic Doja fashion, she responded by saying, "I'm farting in a big way." Her clapbacks are so random but strangely effective. Number 4. Jennifer Lopez. So this one is pretty indefensible. Jennifer Lopez allegedly got a German hotel maid fired for asking for an autograph. Prey Dodaj was a staff member at the luxury Melia Hotel in Dusseldorf, Germany during Jennifer's stay in 2012. She was a really big fan of J-Lo and had worked up the courage to knock on her hotel room door to ask for an autograph before she was promptly turned away. Prey later claimed that she was relieved from her post the day after the incident. She told The Sun, quote, "I am an incredibly big fan, so I took all my courage and rang the bell to get an autograph, but I was rejected by 2 assistants at the door. A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Ms. Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone." If this incident really happened, it's hard to ignore the irony when you remember that Jennifer played a hotel maid in the movie Made in Manhattan. After receiving a rightful amount of backlash, the pop star wrote on Twitter, "Come on, thought you knew me better than this. Would never get anyone fired over an autograph. First I heard of this was on Twitter. #hurtful. Number 3. Tobey Maguire. The actor started working in Hollywood when he was just a teenager, appearing in small roles in films and on television. But as he became more and more successful, he also started to develop develop a reputation of being difficult to work with. On top of that, there was also the infamous hidden movie. Back in the 90s, Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire made a movie with their friends, then for decades they tried to keep it from seeing the light of day. The movie is called Don's Plum, and it tells the story of a group of 20-something guys who gather every Saturday night at an LA diner, and each time they bring a new girl. The storyline is rampant with misogyny and graphic violence against women. The trouble is that the dialogue is entirely improvised, which makes it seem like the vulgarity we hear in the movie is something that the actors regularly say. This is why Leo and Toby turned their backs on the project when it was completed, because they were concerned about how they were being portrayed. Both of them fought to keep the film from ever being screened, which eventually resulted in a $10 million lawsuit and the film being banned in the country. Number 2, Alec Baldwin. The actor has a notoriously short temper, and there have been several instances where he's taken it out on random people. In 2011, Alec was forcibly removed from an American Airlines flight for unruly behavior. The story goes that the flight attendant allegedly asked him to turn off his phone and he refused. Then, being rude, he took his phone into the lavatory and slammed the door. For his part, he claimed that he was playing Words with Friends and that he was singled out just because of who he was. Oh, and he also complained that flying had become a Greyhound bus experience. The actor then attacked the company and tweeted, "Flight attendant on American reamed me out for playing Words with Friends while we sat at the gate not moving. Hashtag no wonder American Air is bankrupt." American Airlines then called him out on their Facebook page, saying the passenger was extremely rude to the crew, calling them inappropriate names and using offensive language. Alec then wrote a column apologizing to the fellow passengers who were delayed by the incident, but he did not take any responsibility and blamed the flight attendant, who he said singled him out to put his phone away, while other passengers continued to use theirs. But if anything, he was clearly upset that he didn't get any special treatment. And coming in at number 1, Christian Bale. The actor has had some seriously impressive roles in the past, but his reputation was put to the test during one infamous on-set meltdown. While he was filming Terminator Salvation, he had an angry outburst that left many of his co-workers stunned. The film's director of photography walked into Christian's eyeline on a day of shooting, and he totally went off, screaming and cursing at him. He has since apologized for his rant, calling it inexcusable and saying that he acted like a punk. In a lengthy apology, he admitted the week following the incident had been miserable for him. Christian said, "I was out of order beyond belief. I made no excuses for it. There is nobody who has heard the tape who has been hit harder than me. The one thing that disturbs me so much is that I've heard a lot of people saying that I seem to think that I'm better than everyone else." He insisted that nothing could be further from the truth, and said that he is a lucky man, which is why he puts so much into what he does. More than anything, Christian was worried that audiences would boycott the movie because of his actions. He said, "Please don't allow my incredibly embarrassing meltdown to overshadow this movie and to have all those people's hard work go to waste."
Starting off with number 10, Jared Leto. Since a few of you said that I should have included Jared Leto in my part 2, here he is in part 3. So this one is straight from his Mean Stars profile, which I talked a bit about before, where he has a few comments from people stating that they had really bad interactions with him. So one of the people on Mean Stars wrote, quote, "I went to see 30 Seconds to Mars a few years ago and got front row tickets. The band was autographing things after the show, so I waited in line. They all talked amongst themselves as they absentmindedly signed autographs. When I got to Jared Leto, I said, 'Hey, that was a great show.' He responded, quote, 'I signed your shit, now F off.'" Okay, what? This is just unreal to me. Like, I think I'm actually speechless about this one. Like, how could he actually say that to a fan? Jared, come on. Then next up at number 9, Michael Phelps. So Michael Phelps is another celebrity that is known for having quite a mean streak. And it's so bad that another athlete felt the need to call him out publicly about it. In an interview, Ronda Rousey was asked if there was an Olympian that wasn't very nice, but they had a public persona of being nice. Without hesitation, she replied, "Michael Phelps kind of annoyed me." Then she went on to tell a story of when she was in Beijing for the Olympics, and the American team was mingling together at a club. And she said the only Olympian that did not interact with the rest of the group was Phelps. Rousey commented further, saying, quote, "Michael Phelps needed his own private section of the club to be like private for him. All of these NBA players are a bigger deal than this guy, and they're hanging out with the rest of us." She added, "We're your teammates. We're not a bunch of groupies. Come hang out with us," she said. And then, since she did not already shade him enough, she continued that the same thing happened on the Oprah Winfrey show. When a bunch of Olympians were on the show, Phelps again was held back in a private area so that he wouldn't have to be harassed by the other Olympians. Then after all of this came out, Phelps spoke to Details magazine, where he admitted that he used to contrive early exits from practice and sneak out the back door, presumably so he could get to the club early and avoid running into Ronda Rousey. And guys, trust me when I say there is a lot more stories about Phelps. So yeah, I'm assuming he must be pretty mean in real life. Next up at number 8, Deadmau5. So this is another story from Amin Star's profile. So this post is a bit on the longer side, so I'm gonna kind of summarize it. Basically, this person is a producer and he wanted to give a demo to Deadmau5. So he went to a show in his city, and after Deadmau5 was done performing, people formed a line for him to sign things. Then when it came down to this person's turn, he said, quote, "I don't have anything for you to sign, but I would like to say that you are an inspiration to me. So I'd like to share with you some of the music that I produced, which has been inspired by your production." And the person handed him the CD, and Deadmau5 looked super confused before he replied, quote, "This is a signing, not a demo showcase. Either I sign this or you mail it to me," the person stated. The person then stated, "I was taken aback by his rudeness and just shyly responded, 'I'd rather you keep it.'" He turned back to his tag-along friends and said, "Can you believe this guy?" while chuckling. His friends kind of awkwardly laughed along with him while giving me this awkward look as if to say, "I'm so sorry. I was so upset that I nearly punched the dude right there. I just walked away instead. I was so upset I felt ill." Then the person continued that he knows that getting handed demos must be kind of annoying, but he's given out a bunch of demos to people way more famous than Deadmau5 and was always treated with respect. So yeah, this is really rude to me. Like, even if Deadmau5 didn't end up doing anything with the CD, he could have still just taken it. Like, it would have been less effort than getting into this random argument in the middle of the signing, in my opinion. And at number 7, Jennifer Lawrence. So Jennifer Lawrence is another person that is well known for being rude to fans when seen out in public. And I'm absolutely confident that this one is true because she literally admitted it herself in an interview. In a video interview she did with Adam Sandler for Variety, she admitted that, quote, "Once I enter a public place, I become incredibly rude. I turn into a huge a-hole," she added, adding that it's her way of defending herself. She continued, quote, "They say, 'Can I have a selfie?' And I'm like, 'No,' Jen said." And this is not the first time she's admitted to being very defensive when she runs into fans. In an interview with the Daily Telegraph, Jennifer echoed similar sentiments of fans feeling too close to her because she's a public person. She said, quote, "I think that people think that we are already friends because I'm famous and they feel like they already know me, but I don't know them." She said, "I have to protect my bubble. Like, I have a weird job. I don't let this be reality." And I can definitely see where she's coming from here, as fans can definitely get really dangerous and they can be really scary encounters sometimes. For instance, if someone were to post a selfie of her, then everyone in the world potentially could know exactly where she is at that exact time. But I think there's still a way to be kind about the situation instead of being just an a-hole to people that literally just appreciate you, like just your fans. Next up at number 6, Cameron Diaz. So this one's on the shorter side, but apparently Cameron Diaz is well known for not giving autographs and being really rude to anyone that asks for one. One person commented on an interaction that they had with Diaz, saying, quote, "Cameron Diaz may be a talented actress, but she's persistently a terrible signer. Instead of just turning down a person's autograph request, she'll lecture them about how dumb autographs are." And this was all, of course, back in the day before selfies and pictures were the things that were asked of by celebrities. But wow, I can only imagine how much worse she would be now if someone asked for a picture instead of an autograph. Yikes, I would not want to be that person. Halfway through number 5, Justin Bieber. So since Justin has come out many times that he struggled with addiction and he's in a completely different place now, I'm going to consider this story about Justin being rude to fans kind of like past Justin, as I don't think he would do this sort of stuff today. But either way, the tea is piping hot here, so I still thought I'd include it with that little disclaimer added. So Justin a few years back got into a few scandals where it seemed like he was being disrespectful to his fans. One time was when allegedly a fan tried to get a selfie with Justin and he replied something about how her lack of respect for him made him sick. And then there was another time where he was accused of spitting on a group of fans that were gathered below his hotel balcony in 2013. But after he got a lot of backlash for doing this, one of his reps had to come out saying that people were not directly below him and he didn't actually spit on anyone. But the fact that he would even do a gesture like that to his fans below is kind of shady to me. And at number 4, Chevy Chase. So Chevy is another person who has a few stories that have given him a bad rep. And he actually has a pretty famous history among people in the industry of being difficult to work with. There are countless accounts of him being disrespectful to coworkers. So based off that, you can probably imagine he's not the nicest to fans either. Actor and comedian Rob Huebel is someone that shared their really terrifying encounter with Chase. Huebel said that he was a huge fan of Chase's and he went backstage to meet him at an Upright Citizens Brigade show. While he was telling Chase what a huge fan he was of his, allegedly Chase responded to this love by slapping the man so hard in the face that he saw red. What? And then after, Chevy tried to make a joke of it by saying, quote, "Can't you see I'm talking to someone, kid?" And I do want to say, in life, I really do like to believe there's always two sides to every story before I make a judgment on someone, but wow, this is probably the worst one I've ever heard, and I really don't know how you could even explain away why you slapped a fan. Like, this is probably the worst one on here. Then in at number 3, Christina Aguilera. So Christina is another person who has a bad rep among other celebrities. While Valerie Bertinelli was on Andy Cohen's Late Show, he asked her to spill the tea on why she did not like Christina Aguilera. Bertinelli clarified that she and Aguilera didn't have an all-out feud, but Aguilera did snub her at one of her ex-husband Eddie Van Halen's concerts. Bertinelli described the situation by saying, quote, "I was a fan at that time, and I went up to her because she was at a Van Halen concert. And I said, oh my god, I think you're a beautiful singer. And she just went like, yeah, whatever. She gave me the cold shoulder, and I thought, bitch, I'm a fan. You couldn't just be nice to me." So yeah, clearly not a really friendly encounter. After Cohen asked Bertinelli if she's seen Aguilera since, she replied saying, quote, "I have not, no. But you know what? She might have gotten better, but I heard she hasn't." And I just love how she finished it off with that final burn, like, oh my god, what a legend. Then in at number 2, Hugh Grant. So I included Hugh Grant on this list because he's yet another celebrity that has had some unsavory encounters with other celebrities, including Jon Stewart, who had banned Hugh Grant from his show, The Daily Show. Stewart admitted to this in a Q&A he did with Stephen Colbert. Well, he revealed that his show had some very controversial guests. Grant was the rudest person on the show. He said, quote, "Grant was giving everyone shit the whole time, and he's a big pain in the ass." Stewart continued that while promoting his new film at the time, Did You Hear About the Morgans?, Grant openly griped about the clip chosen to run on the show. He said, quote, "What is that clip? It's a terrible clip." Grant angrily asked, to which the host shot back, quote, "Well then make a better effing movie." Which is just so savage, like this is why I love him. But after this came out, Grant actually was pretty understanding about the whole situation and joked on Twitter that Stewart was correct to give him a kicking. So after that, I would hope that the incident was just sort of a one-off for Hugh Grant, and it seems that he's most likely changed since he's able to joke about it now, which is really good to see. And then up at number 1, Jennifer Lopez. So taking the top spot, we have J-Lo. And before doing this video, I had no idea that she had such a mean streak, but I literally found like a 20-page article online with all of the mean stuff that she has publicly done. So I can only imagine all the mean stuff she has done behind the scenes to people. One of the biggest things that have caused people to think she's mean in real life is the fact that she constantly talks shit about other actresses publicly. Among the names she has publicly dissed are huge stars like Gwyneth Paltrow, Winona Ryder, and Cameron Diaz. When speaking about these women, the common theme was that she did not think they are good actresses, and she didn't feel they deserved their success. Another strike on JLo's record is that she apparently does not talk to service people. Instead, she makes her assistants talk to them for her. This came out when a United Airlines attendant said he offered her a drink on flight, but JLo refused to answer and told her personal assistant to say to the flight attendant, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime," instead of literally just telling him herself. Do you know much? And the last thing that's probably not true, but I just found really funny, was that A-Rod, her now fiance, is allegedly terrified of J-Lo. She allegedly gave him a list of rules that he has to follow to be with her, and that he's been given an exact position of where to stand when they are on red carpets together, which is just hilarious. I doubt that one's true, but I just thought of course I had to include it. So starting off, we have Pierce Brosnan, and this one is even more insane because the person that called him out for being rude is none other than James Corden. And if you watched the last video, you would know that James Corden is someone who is notoriously rude. So Pierce must have been awful if James thinks he's bad. Basically, on Corden's show, during his Fill Your Guts or Spill Your Guts segment, he had Khloe Kardashian on, and she asked Corden who was the rudest celebrity that he had ever met. And after a lot of debating, he blurted out Pierce Brosnan, as he shoved him at a YouTube concert. Corden said, quote, "Pierce Brosnan, I don't think he's a rude man, he just happened to be to me. I went to see U2 and was there with my friend Lewis and his wife and my wife, and Pierce Brosnan was with some friends, and they left halfway through the gig, and we left the space for them. And then they had been gone quite a long time, and Bono was like right there on this sort of big runway in the middle of the show. So me and my wife moved into this area, and literally I've never felt anything like it. This arm went on here and just pushed me out of the way, and I looked at him and he didn't even glance at me, and he just moved back into his area." So yeah, I guess Corden was really salty that Brosnan forcefully took his seat back. And on the one hand, I can see why Brosnan was a bit rude, as he probably thought Corden was like trying to steal his seat. But also, since Corden isn't a random person, Pierce definitely could have handled that better, like in interaction with a fellow celebrity. He also has this thing that I never heard of till now called a Mean Stars profile. And his rating is decent. So hey, this could have just maybe been a one-off. In at number 9, Rachel Ray. So Rachel Ray is actually one that a lot of you put in the comments of my first video. And after doing some research on her, man, does she have quite the mean streak. She reportedly has a short temper, and she once allegedly said, quote, "I need stupid people not to talk to me," to a member of her own staff. And she's been accused of every bad thing possible, it seems. From tipping food servers poorly to feuding with her mentor, Oprah Winfrey, and even fellow chef Martha Stewart. Unfortunately, she also has a ton of family drama as well that spills over into the tabloids. But I think the most telling indication that she is mean in real life is the fact that most of her fellow celebrity chefs openly do not like her. With Martha Stewart outing Ray, saying that she told Martha that she couldn't bake, with Martha taking a jab that Ray seems to be more of an entertainer than a teacher, like Martha is. And then the late Anthony Bourdain also had some shady things to say about Ray. Most notably was in a now deleted blog post where he said, quote, "We know she can't cook. She shrewdly tells us so. So what is she selling us? Really, she's just selling us satisfaction. The smug reassurance that mediocrity is quite enough." Bourdain portrayed Ray as sort of an anti-Julia Child, who rather than enlightening aspiring home chefs and inspiring them to cook better food, quote, uses her strange and terrible powers to narcotize her public. So yeah, if you make an enemy out of your colleagues, I'm guessing something's up. Then next up at number 8, Amy Schumer. So Amy Schumer is another person who's had some unsavory encounters with fans. One time that got a lot of press was in New York City, when an Upper West Side Equinox asked her to present her membership card, which is standard practice at the Upscale Fitness Club, and she refused, claiming that since she was famous and everyone knew who she was, she didn't need to check in. One source told Page 6, quote, she felt entitled to just walk in. She didn't want to show her key fob and just wanted to be able to go in and not be questioned. The source continued, quote, "It was clear that Amy just wanted to go in under the radar and not even stop to have the desk clerk look up her account on a computer," said the source. So yeah, this is just a classic case of a celebrity being super entitled. Really happy she was exposed here. Next up at number 7, Mike Myers. So Mike Myers does not seem to be as funny and chipper in real life as he generally portrays being on screen. And his Mean Stars profile shows that he's overwhelmingly mean. So clearly the interactions I'm going to be talking about below aren't the only bad ones that he's had. One user wrote a comment on his Mean Stars profile, and they said, quote, "I had a friend from out of state swinging through town, and we met in NYC for lunch and a couple of drinks. We are eating at the bar, and I see further down that Mike Myers is at the other end of the bar watching a soccer game on the television and drinking a beer. I had never encountered a celebrity before, and I didn't want to be some obtrusive a-hole. But prior to paying our tab, I walked over and said, quote, 'Hey Mike, I'm a big fan, can I buy you a beer?' And without even turning to look at me, he said, quote, 'I can afford my own drinks, a-hole. Save your money for my next movie.' I stood there speechless for a second and embarrassingly turned back to my spot at the bar. We paid our tab and split without saying a word. I felt like a dickhead, ha ha ha." So yeah, I'm definitely hoping I don't run into him in real life anytime soon. And at number 6, Dan Aykroyd. So Dan is another person who is not all they seem to be on screen, with an overwhelming consensus on his Mean Stars profile that he is mean in real life. He currently lives in a small suburb of Ontario, and a lot of the residents that live there tell stories about how he travels with a group of bodyguards that are notorious for being rude and intimidating. So this story is another one from his Mean Stars profile. The person said, quote, "My friends and I definitely had a few encounters with Dan Aykroyd in Kingston when we were studying at Queen's. One in particular was pretty hilarious. We were enjoying a post-bar snack at Pita Pit when Dan Aykroyd and his entourage cut in front of a large line of people. Dan ordered a few pitas and slapped down a $100 bill. When the cashier told him that they did not accept $100 or $50 bills, he became very enraged and yelled that he, quote, owned this town. He stormed out of the store swearing and making a scene. My friend jumped out of her seat, ran outside, and yelled at him, quote, 'You lost your touch, Dan.'" Legendary. So yeah, I guess he is pretty two-faced and way different than his iconic Ghostbusters character. Really, really unfortunate to see. Next up at number 5, Kate Winslet. So Kate is another person who is well known for being rude off set. One notorious time that she got fans up in arms was when she ignored fans who stood out in the rain in hopes of meeting her while she was filming one of her movies called Labor Day. Fan and local resident Shanna Swan told Star magazine in the US, quote, "Kate was so rude. She never once acknowledged any of us. I was devastated." Then she added, quote, "She gave dirty looks to people in my town who waited hours to see her. Upon her arrival, everyone was yelling, 'Kate, we love love you," and you could hear everyone gasping with excitement when her black Cadillac pulled up. However, Shanna claimed that the whole town was left upset when the Oscar-winning actress wouldn't even look over to acknowledge them. And yeah, that's really upsetting, but in Kate's defense, if she was on set, she has a lot to be focused on. She has to be focused on her acting and all the other things she needs to be doing to get her character correct. So she might not have been trying to be rude, but she was just preoccupied with the task at hand. I don't know, what do you guys think of this one? Then in at number 4, Sandra Bullock. So Sandra can be thought of as one of America's sweethearts, especially after her iconic role in The Blind Side. But she's had a few experiences in real life that have caused fans to think twice about her. One time was when a disabled veteran allegedly asked her for an autograph. She then covered her face and hurled verbal abuse at the man. The man's wife, Denise Coates, told Star magazine in 2012 about a run-in with the actress while she was out with her husband, a veteran who was in a wheelchair. Sandra was in Boston filming The Heat, where she ran into the couple during a filming break. Denise said, quote, "Sandra was so rude. She covered her face and yelled. He just wanted an autograph, and she actually yelled at him." Now, we understand not having time to greet fans. We understand how annoying it probably is to be hounded by mobs. But a single wheelchair-bound veteran and his wife? In what world is their polite request for an autograph warrant a yelling match? So yeah, I get that she was busy, but to verbally accost some fans, especially if it was just him and his wife, like that's really disgusting. In at number 3, Adam Levine. So Adam Levine might not be all that shocking to some of you, considering that he doesn't exactly sport a nice guy persona on screen, but nonetheless, he's a person who a lot of fans think is rude in real life. One notorious time he was awful in real life was when allegedly a fan asked for his autograph, and he said back, quote, "I don't give autographs to ugly chicks." Wow. Then a lot of people have called him out for constantly feuding with his The Voice co-judges. He's well known for constantly spatting with Blake Shelton, but he's known to cross the line. Like one time when after a verbal tiff on the show, he mumbled under his breath, quote, "Sorry, I just hate him, that's all." But everyone still heard it, and it was really awkward. He also had beef with Christina Aguilera in the past while she was on the show. As well, he's very critical of Miley Cyrus during her time on the show, reportedly calling her, quote, "the most obnoxious person ever." He also allegedly threatened to quit the show because of his off-camera feuds with Miley. And my rule of thumb is that if one person is always fighting with other people, it's probably the common denominator, aka Adam here, that's the problem, not his fellow judges. But you guys can leave your thoughts in the comments below on that. Then at number 2, Jon Hamm. So this one is extra juicy because it involves one celebrity calling out another. In this case, Kathy Griffin called out Jon Hamm for being rude to her at a party. In her memoir, comedian Kathy Griffin shared a story about Jon Hamm confronting her at a party, asking her who invited her. He went on to make comments about her failed career and mocked her age. At the dinner, she was speaking with Jack Nicholson when Hamm said to her, quote, "What are you doing here?" And she replied, "I earned my seat at the table. What are you doing here?" Kathy said that Jon continued to get drunk as she was discussing Rupert Murdoch with Jack, where she continued saying, quote, "Hammy picks that moment to start whispering boozy yammering into my ear. First it was, 'You know your Emmy isn't a real Emmy.' Kathy said she let that one go, but then he whispered, quote, 'You're so old.' And Kathy admitted it was not only the rude comments that pissed her off, but the fact that he was interrupting some precious alone time she was having with Nicholson. And wow, I don't know how he thought he could be rude to someone like Kathy Griffin and she wouldn't expose him. So yeah, really happy he got his karma here with her blasting him in that book. He definitely deserved it. And finally, taking the number 1 spot, Catherine Zeta-Jones. So Catherine is taking the number 1 spot because it's sad that she was rude, but it's even worse because she was allegedly rude to a child. As when an 8-year-old fan told Zeta-Jones that she wanted to be an actress like her, she was left completely devastated. The girl recalled the awkward moment years later when she said, quote, "She turned to me, looked me up and down, and said, quote, 'You're pretty enough, I suppose.' Then went back to her conversation. I went from feeling at ease in the world to constantly thinking about how everyone was judging me on my appearance." Wow, yeah, I cannot blame this fan. The fact that Catherine was so harsh to this young fan is something that she should really never be forgiven for, in my opinion. But something else that made me second guess her was when in an interview, she revealed to the Mirror, quote, "I'm sick of being humble. I really am. So sorry I'm rich. So sorry I'm married to a movie star. So sorry I'm not bad looking." So yeah, it seems like being down to earth and grateful for her success is not her strong suit.
Starting us off at number 10, we have Kendall Jenner. In an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kendall Jenner got real about people thinking she's a mean girl. During a confessional, she opened up about the misconceptions she's heard about herself. Kendall shared how it's upsetting when someone questions her character, adding that if only people knew her, they would see that she's not mean at all. But things took a turn when Kendall appeared in a TikTok video with her friends Hailey Bieber and Justin Sky. The trio lip-synced to an audio that seemed to throw shade at a certain someone, and viewers called them out for this. This just seemed to fuel the perception that Kendall is a mean girl. As if that wasn't enough, an old video of Kendall belittling Kylie on the show Life of Kylie resurfaced online. In this clip, Kendall can be seen criticizing Kylie's appearance in front of her friends. People took issue with her comments and called her out for her mean behavior. However, this isn't the first time tension between Kendall and Kylie had been captured on their reality shows. Kylie has referred to Kendall as mean before and admitted that they wouldn't be friends if they weren't sisters. So it looks like despite Kendall's efforts to address the mean girl perception, these incidents seem to show otherwise. Yikes. Next at number 9, we have Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey is thought by many to be the ultimate diva, and she has a reputation for being a bit mean and demanding. One gem that she's been quoted for is when she straight up said, "I don't do stairs" during a concert rehearsal. Yeah, seriously. It's stories like these that make the public see her as over the top and diva-like. And let's not forget when she claimed she didn't know certain successful artists like J-Lo and Ariana Grande, as if she's been living in her own superstar bubble. But it's not just her outrageous quotes that contribute to her mean reputation. Mariah has been known to treat her staff poorly and act unprofessionally. Apparently, she once demanded 20 whole kittens and 100 white doves for a performance. Who needs that many animals? She also insists on having her own personal lighting team travel with her. Talk about diva demands. There are also stories of her throwing tantrums, showing up late for interviews, and canceling events at last minute. It's no wonder why people think she's difficult to work with. Many fans think that maybe all of that fame has gone to her head. Next at number 8, we have Ellen DeGeneres. Once a beloved talk show host with a global fan base, Ellen DeGeneres saw her reputation crumble when revelations surfaced about her ruthless treatment of employees off camera, painting her as a genuinely mean-spirited person. Ironically, her motto of "be kind" backfired spectacularly as former employees began to step forward, sharing their stories of horror with Ellen. In a BuzzFeed article, she was labeled a bully, accused of creating a toxic work environment by one current and 10 former employees who bravely spoke out anonymously. These individuals confirmed what had previously been mere rumors, shedding light on Ellen's demanding behavior. According to one TV writer, Ellen required anyone who wished to speak with her at work to chew gum from a bowl outside her office, and she would send staff members home to shower if she felt they smelled bad. While the accusations have not impacted her financial status, Ellen's image has been irreparably tarnished, and it's almost impossible to find supporters of her on the internet today. Next at number 7 is Hailey Bieber. When it comes to celebrities being mean in real life, Hailey Bieber's situation takes an interesting twist. It all started with Selena Gomez sharing a TikTok video about her eyebrow lamination gone wrong. She jokingly admitted that her brows didn't turn out as planned when trying to replicate Bella Hadid's iconic look. Then Kylie Jenner jumped in and posted an Instagram story with the text, "This was an accident," overlaying her own eyebrows. But here's the kicker. In the next slide, Jenner shared a close-up pic of Hailey Bieber's brows, seemingly from a FaceTime call where they both showed off their eyebrows. Fans immediately thought they were taking a jab at Selena. Jenner later denied any shade towards Selena, saying fans were blowing things out of proportion. But the eyebrow picture's timing and overall vibe were pretty suspicious to fans. Things have just seemed to have gotten worse from this point, and now it seems Hailey might never be able to shake off the mean girl label. At number 6 is Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence may not be as nice to her fans as one would expect. In a candid conversation with comedian Adam Sandler during Variety's Actors on Actors series in 2017, they discussed how they handle the attention from fans. While Adam described Jennifer as famously approachable, she disagreed and dropped a bombshell. According to her, once she steps into a public place, she becomes incredibly rude, even turning into a huge a-hole, as she puts it in her own colorful language. Jennifer doesn't hesitate to shut down fans who approach her for a selfie, and if you happen to spot her in a restaurant while she's trying to enjoy her meal, don't be surprised if she shoots you a sour look and waves you off, claiming she's not working that day. Now, it's worth mentioning that this info is based on Jennifer Lawrence's own words, and it's possible that she was just shedding light on the challenges of dealing with fame rather than genuinely being mean. But it's understandable that Jennifer has chosen to adopt a guarded and less friendly attitude in public. So if you ever run into Jennifer Lawrence, don't expect a warm and fuzzy interaction. Next, at number 5, we have Lea Michele. Lea Michele, the actress who portrayed the most arrogant character on Glee, is facing a significant backlash as her reputation as one of the meanest celebrities in Hollywood comes to light. Despite Glee contributing to her rise in fame, it appears that her mistreatment of the cast and crew on set has caught up with her. Several individuals, including actress Samantha Ware, have spoken out against Michele's behavior, with Ware recounting instances of the silent treatment, stare downs, looks, comments under her breath, and weird passive aggressiveness she experienced after her first performance. Following Samantha's revelation, numerous co-stars, film crew members, and staff members took to social media to share their own stories about Michele's diva-like behavior. There were even reports suggesting that she only communicated through her assistant and completely ignored the presence of her co-stars. Although Michele issued an apology, her past actions continue to be remembered, and when it was announced that she would replace actress Beanie Feldstein in the Broadway production of Funny Girl, fans expressed their outrage, with some even calling for a boycott. At number 4, we have Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams, the host of The Wendy Williams Show for a whopping 14 years, definitely didn't hold back when it came to her on-air antics. Let's just say she didn't need anyone to call her out for being rude, because she did it all on her own. She once downplayed actor Terry Crews's bravery for speaking out about his essay, basically saying it wasn't a big deal since he was a big man. And remember that cringe-worthy moment when she asked young actor Marcus Scribner about his sex life live on the show? Awkward doesn't even begin to cover it, especially with his dad right there on set. Poor Marcus looked uncomfortable and did his best to dodge the question. And let's not forget the time she made fun of Ariana Grande's appearance, claiming that because she's petite, she doesn't look like a woman. While most of us know body shaming is never okay, it's clear that she never hesitated to say whatever mean thoughts popped into her head. And believe me, these examples are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Wendy's mean streak. At number 3, we have Katy Perry. Katy Perry has been a music icon for over a decade now, but her career seems to have gone steeply downhill after she became a judge on American Idol. In fact, Katy recently made a surprising announcement on social media, stating that she wants to quit the popular singing competition show. She expressed concerns about being portrayed as a nasty judge due to the editing done by the show's producers. This decision comes amidst a wave of controversy and scandal surrounding Katy during the current season of American Idol, and it seems like it's all becoming too overwhelming for her. In one notable incident from the recent season, Katy had an interesting reaction when a contestant, ever after her audition, Sarah announced her decision to return to California and be with her family, claiming that she wasn't cut out for show business. Later on, Sarah took to TikTok to call Katy out for the joke, which she felt was both mom-shaming and inappropriate. And let's not forget the time she stole a contestant's first kiss. Gross. At number 2, we have Jennifer Lopez. Though there are many instances of J.Lo being accused of being mean, including talking down to her husband Ben Affleck, let's talk about one from back in 2014 first. Back in 2014, Jennifer Lopez had an awkward moment on American Idol when one of her biggest fans, Ronald Reed, broke down in tears after being rejected. Ronald was not only determined to win American Idol, but also had a mission to fight poverty and make the world a better place. Jennifer had to be honest with him and told Ronald that his voice wasn't strong enough. Keith Urban stepped in to soften the blow and reassured Ronald that he was sweet, while Reed desperately searched for his confidence after Jennifer made fun of his lack of melody. And of course, another rumor Jennifer would definitely try to deny is how controlling she has been said to be. Several sources have spoken up about the state of Jennifer and Ben Affleck's marriage, mentioning numerous things that annoy her about him. In addition to his smoking habit, it appears Ben might have a cleanliness problem as well. The source source shared, Ben doesn't clean up after himself, which irritates Jennifer. The source also criticized Jennifer's approach to nagging her husband, saying she's been known to yell at him and point her finger. It makes people wonder if she mistakes him for a dog. And finally, at number 1, we have Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber has been in the industry since a very young age, and unfortunately, it seems like this might have done some damage to him. From spitting on fans to feuding with neighbors, it seems there are way more negative stories about Justin than positive ones. However, one thing fans recently started to pick up on is Justin being rude to his wife, Haley. He's been caught on live streams putting her down, and there are even clips of him slamming the car door in her face. One clip shows him leaving her behind in a crowd of paparazzi while he gets away on a skateboard. And that particular clip ends with Haley falling flat on her face while trying to chase after him. Yikes. Another thing fans noticed was how he didn't defend his wife during her feud with Selena Gomez. So not only does he not seem like the nicest guy, but he might be a bad husband as well.
Coming in at number 10, we have Hailey Bieber. If you've been on the internet lately, you've probably seen the drama surrounding Hailey bashing Selena on social media. It seemed to have started when fans assumed that a TikTok posted by Hailey was about Selena. The TikTok, which has now been deleted, features Hailey and her friends lip syncing to a sound which says, "I'm not saying she deserved it, but God's timing is always right." Fans started to assume that this was in reference to Selena being body shamed over her vacation photos. After being questioned all over the internet, Hailey responds by saying, "I never comment on this type of thing, but we were just having a girls' night, and we just did a random TikTok sound for fun. It's not directed at anyone." Even Selena joins in to calm her fans by saying, "It's okay, I don't let these things get me down. Be nice to everybody." Even if that time was just a reach and a speculation, the more recent Hailey drama is hard to dismiss. After Selena posted a clip mentioning how she had over-laminated her eyebrows, Kylie Jenner posted a photo of herself saying this was an accident over her own eyebrows. It only gets worse when Kylie shares a screenshot from a FaceTime with Hailey only showing their eyebrows. Later in the day, fans realized Selena commented on an old photo of Hailey where she seems to be gagging at the mention of Taylor Swift's name. Selena wrote, "So sorry, my best friend continues to be one of the best in the game." With all the hatred coming from Hailey over the internet, it seems to have been enough to push Selena off social media for a while. The singer announced on TikTok saying, "I'm gonna be taking a second from social media because this is all a little silly. I'm 30, I'm too old for this." Hailey Bieber has really been showing her true colors lately and has yet to comment on any of the alleged bullying. But to her fans, her silence is definitely a statement in itself. Coming in at number 9, Lea Michele. The former Glee star Lea has sparked rumors for years of being an alleged mean girl. She began getting some heat over the past couple of years for being mean-spirited on the set of Glee, what she did later apologize for, but it didn't seem to end there. Her former co-star Heather Morris started speaking up back in 2021 as to why it took so long to come forward with these allegations. She says, "We absolutely could have stepped up and gone to Fox executives and said how we felt about the situation, but nobody really did. So now we're living in a culture where it's more accepted to go and do things like that, whereas I think people were just a little scared." These allegations against Lea first started to come out in 2020 when Samantha Ware, who also played a role in Glee, spoke out against her on Twitter. She expresses how awful Lea made her time on the Glee set, even saying that her microaggressions made her question her whole career in Hollywood. When the tweet went viral, Lea's partnership with the food service HelloFresh decided to end their contract. This tweet ended up inspiring other Glee stars to come forward with their feelings about Lea. Heather wrote on Twitter saying, "Hate is a disease in America that we are trying to cure, but I would never wish for that hate to spread to someone else." With that being said, was she unpleasant to work with? Very much so. For Lea to treat others with disrespect that she did for so long, I believe she should be called out. An extra for the show took this opportunity to come forward as well, saying that Lea referred to her and other extras as cockroaches. She even went as far to tell them not to look at her while the cameras were rolling. Lea has never denied the allegations, but instead wrote an apology on Instagram saying, "While I don't remember ever making this specific statement, that's really not the point. What matters is that I clearly acted in ways which hurt other people. Though I'm sure her fellow co-stars would like a little bit more of an apology, at least it's something." And at number 8, we have Madonna. Known for being an absolute icon in the pop industry, as well as not believing in cancel culture, her dry sense of humor may have gotten her into trouble in the past. Back in 2019, Madonna made an appearance on the Graham Norton show, and there was definitely a few awkward moments. Fans began to criticize the singer for the way she spoke to Sir Ian McKellen, and for the fact that she seemed to forget that they'd already met before. Ian ended up joking that this is why Madonna wasn't invited to his birthday party. Then, near the end, it seems she mocks his title of Sir. Another uncomfortable moment is when Madonna asks, "What do you do?" appearing to not know he's an actor, when she was just asking what he does in his new stage show. Fans did not react well, taking to Twitter to discuss how they felt the interview went. One Twitter user wrote, "The rudeness of Madonna to Sir Ian McKellen is making me so mad." And another wrote, "This show is so cringe. The way Madonna is talking to and looking at Sir Ian McKellen is a disgrace. She's even noticeably sitting away from him. Horrible woman." All in all, I have to say the whole segment is very awkward to watch. Number 7, Ellen DeGeneres. From celebrities, her own staff, and even to guests on her show, Ellen has received a lot of backlash over the past couple of years, with even a Twitter trend calling her one of the meanest people alive. The stories really started to pop off after the comedian Kevin Porter posted on his Twitter saying, "Right now, all we need is a little kindness. You know, like Ellen DeGeneres always talks about. Respond to this with the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen being mean, and I'll match everyone with $2 to the LA Food Bank." This really brought some horrible stories to light, even with some having photographic evidence. One Twitter user wrote, "When I was 15, Ellen was doing a contest of fans making a bust of her and sending it in. I worked so hard on this and even gave her a letter. Weeks later, she used this as a prop in her game and gave it away to a random person with $500 at the bottom." A former staff member even came forward explaining how Ellen told them all how she has a sensitive nose, making everyone chew a piece of gum before ever talking to her, even sending those home she thought smelled bad. With her bad attitude really coming to light, YouTuber Nikki from Nikki Tutorials shared what she experienced was like when coming onto the Ellen show. Without going into too much detail, she said, "Let's just say there's a huge difference between this show and Ellen DeGeneres. I'm saying that in favor of the show." Dakota Johnson, Mark Ruffalo, Jamila Jamil, and many others have since shared their stories, and I have to say, it doesn't look good for Ellen, who is known to preach kindness. Number 6, Katherine Heigl. After being labeled difficult to work with, her career took a bit of a dip. Katherine originally made a big name for herself for her role on the show Grey's Anatomy, but after involving herself in some sticky situations with the network, it seems like she may have just angered the wrong people. Apparently having some strong views on her scripts, the writers weren't happy, calling this an ungrateful slap in the face, as they felt that they were the ones to get her that far in the first place. Grey's Anatomy creator slammed Katherine for her unkind comments, telling in an interview, "In some level it stung, and on some level I was not surprised. When people show you who they are, believe them." Her history of dissing scripts and ideas didn't end there though. Katherine ended up talking to Vanity Fair in 2008 about her movie Knocked Up. She went on to describe it as sexist and bashing on the way the women were presented in the film. When the news came out about how she really felt about her role, her co-star Seth Rogen was disappointed. He told The Hollywood Reporter, "People seemed to like it. We were funny together, I was having a really good time. And then I heard afterward that she didn't like it. I think when that happens, your trust feels somewhat betrayed." After this, more reports seemed to come out of Katherine being a bit of a diva. A source came forward describing how it would be commonplace for her to cost you time every day. From wardrobe issues to questioning the scripts, it sounds like Katherine might just have to have a problem every day. Number 5, Christina Aguilera. Though an incredible singer and with a huge fan base, Christina maybe isn't as nice behind the scenes. With many fans who adore the coach on the show The Voice, there seem to be plenty that just can't stand her. The boy band The Wanted claimed that Christina was very cold to them after they performed on the competition show. One band member told The Hollywood Reporter how scary he thought she was, saying, "She just sat there and didn't speak to us. She was quite rude." After a source came forward saying that nothing negative happened between the boys and Christina, the band ended up apologizing, sort of. They said, "We shouldn't have said it, to be honest with you. We just think manners cost nothing. You know what I mean?" Apparently being rude isn't the only thing she has been reported being, but also aggressive. After collaborating on Lady Marmalade for the Moulin Rouge soundtrack, singer Pink claims that there was a bit of a fight over who would sing the high notes on the track. Pink recalls that this led to Christina trying to punch her in the club. Pink said when talking about the event, "I was like, what is happening right now? What are you doing? What is even happening?" When asked about this, Christina says, "I seem to have a different memory of that night. We were at the club when we played Spin the Bottle, and I have a love memory." Luckily, since then, the two seem to have made amends. Number 4, Katy Perry. The pop star who is said to love her fans deeply may have a different relationship with her fellow celebrities. Katy Perry bashed Britney Spears twice for her head-shaving mental breakdown and when fans weren't loving it. In an interview, Katie discusses her new hair and says, "It's the last color in the spectrum that I can do. I've done all of them and the only thing left to do is shave my head, which I'm really saving for my public breakdown." In another interview, when asked about how she is going to be taking a break from music, she says, "That's called taking care of your mental health. It's great. I haven't shaved my head yet." Her attempt at a joke resulted in Katie looking like a mean girl, especially to someone who she even once collabed with in the past. This sparked such backlash that angry fans created the hashtag Katy Perry is over party, which quickly trended on Twitter. One Twitter user wrote, "I lost all my respect for Katie." Well, the little respect I did have for her. Though it appears she has yet to comment, many fear Katie has shown her true, insensitive colors. Number 3, Ariana Grande. According to various news outlets, Ariana Grande can definitely be a diva sometimes, and even to her fans. But on July 4th, 2015, the singer really did something that made her fans wonder if she really just is a mean girl after all. Ariana stated, "I hate Americans. I hate America," while in a donut shop in California. She then went on to lick the donuts without buying any of them. Despite public apologies for this extreme behavior, she was still shut out from performing at the White House event. The singer allegedly completely up and left her meet and greet because she wasn't loving how the photos were coming out. A source revealed that when the star went into the elevator, she overheard her wishing her fans at the event would pass away. Pretty bad if true, so I'm just going to hope it's not. And at number 2, we have Adam Levine. Adam Levine hasn't always been the family man we see these days. He also, for a time, wasn't so loved by his fans. A user on social media asked the question, "Who are the biggest jerks in music?" To which one user wrote back saying Adam Levine, claiming the singer has made rude comments about fans and even his current girlfriend at the time. Allegedly, Adam told a fan that he didn't give autographs to ugly chicks. Though this can't be confirmed, many other commenters agreed that it sounds like something he would say. This comes after an interview where Adam claimed that dating a model was one of the perks of being a rock star. The heat on Adam has died down. Since becoming all about his kids, many fans believed he has finally grown up with his ways. And at number 1, we have Tobey Maguire. The Superman star Tobey Maguire has become famous in a different way, and that's how rude he is to his fans. Reportedly, the actor refuses to sign anything for anyone, even children who idolize the Spider-Man star. The Spider-Man star Tobey Maguire has become famous in a different way, and that's how rude he is to his fans. Reportedly, the actor refuses to sign anything for anyone, even children who idolize the Spider-Man legend. Back in 2007, the star allegedly slapped a camera out of a fan's hand who was asking for a photo. Because of his bad rep with signatures, the Autograph Collector magazine has named him the worst signer of the year. I mean, after knowing how much he hates signatures, I think that if I saw Tobey on the street, I would just steer clear.
In fact, at number 10 is comedian Jerry Seinfeld. The most brilliant and iconic comedic minds in history, Jerry's bad attitude has become just as notorious. The Seinfeld star is on his best behavior during his show Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. However, his personality is obviously very different when he's not amongst friends, and especially when the cameras are no longer rolling. There have been many accounts of Jerry being pretty rude to interviewers, talk show hosts including Seth Meyers and the late Larry King, and fans. One fan in particular being the 2010 pop star Kesha. The singer once asked for a hug on a red carpet, and although no one is entitled to a hug, he was most definitely allowed to turn her down, but the way he did it was a bit excessive, turning to a nearby interviewer claiming he didn't know who she was, which would mean he must have been asleep for the entirety of the early 2000s. Although it's never great to be known as a mean guy, but I guess it's understandable for someone as famous as Jerry to have a bit of a diva persona. Coming in at number 9 is world famous chef and TV personality Rachel Ray. Fans and audience members complain that the bubbly cook may seem to actually keep her personality on a low simmer in real life. A former audience member of Rachel Ray's TV show claims the famous chef isn't quite so warm in person. In a review on TripAdvisor, the person claimed when she came out to greet the audience, she was cold, even seemingly annoyed that she had to do the show. She complained, she rolled her eyes, she was not at all the perky, spunky personality we've come to know on her show. As well, a slew of fellow celebs, including fellow foodies Martha Stewart and the late Anthony Bourdain, have revealed that Rachel isn't amazing to be around and is in fact quite rude. Not just humans, but dogs as well have turned on the celebrity cook after her dog food brand was revealed to contain synthetic ingredients despite her initial claims that it was all natural. And coming in at number 8 is Megan Fox. Megan is ripped apart constantly for her attitude on sets, and I want to say first and foremost that the sheer amount of time she's been called out seems less like a coincidence and more like a deliberate attack on her character. Because of her apparent difficulty to work with, she was infamously replaced after the second Transformers film. Megan snapped back at this allegation, defending herself and calling the director Michael Bay the difficult one and was apparently a nightmare to work with. Crew members proving loyalty to Bay anonymously unanimously came forward against Megan and agreed that she was hard to work with and rude to multiple of her co-workers. The tumultuous relationships between the two led Megan to be replaced by Rosie Huntington Whitley in the third film of the franchise. At number 7 is Azealia Banks. Banks is the mean girl, or more truthfully, Azealia is just a straight up bully. More times than not, she has an Instagram story posted where she's reaming out some unknowing celebrity for something so vague they probably can't make out what she's even talking about. As well, the rapper has been suspended from Twitter many times, in one instance because of her series of absolutely vile, homophobic, and racist attacks against Zayn Malik. The rapper used abusive and brash language in her rant, even calling the former One Direction star a few slurs. This was all in the name of what she thought was stolen concepts from one of her videos to use in his clip for Like I Would. This wasn't Banks' first rodeo with Twitter beef, because back in 2014, Iggy Azalea was also at the receiving end of a bizarre racially fueled tirade of the controversial rapper. She called out Iggy for staying quiet on the Black Lives Matter issues, calling her an igloo Australian, and accusing her for not standing up for other important issues, which I guess she could be correct about. At number 6 is the original diva herself, Mariah Carey. If she's not arguing with producers or forcing hotels to roll out red carpets for her, then she's sparking a feud on social media or in the press. Mariah holds one of the longest running celebrity feuds in the common era with her fellow singer Jennifer Lopez. Beginning in the early 2000s, Mariah was asked about other singers during an interview, and she described Beyonce as a good writer, but when asked about J-Lo, the Christmas queen responded with, "I don't know her," and she's continued to repeat the infamous line ever since. Though more recently, Jennifer has taken a more mature approach to this beef, showing that the whole feud is probably one-sided and coated with jealousy on Mariah's part. When asked by Wendy Williams what she thinks about Mariah saying she doesn't know her, J-Lo replied by saying, "She does that. She's forgetful, I guess." In recent years, Mariah has added a second pop girlie to her hate roster with Ariana Grande, who appears to be her natural-born rival. Fans have compared the singers for years, which Ariana has called a compliment, though clearly Mariah does not share this opinion. With rumors of her nasty comments often becoming headlines, it caused fellow pop star Demi Lovato to weigh in, slamming Mariah for her attitude towards other singers. Demi has said that Jennifer Lopez keeps it classy, but I'm not afraid to say it, that woman is mean for no reason. Extremely talented? Yes. Superhuman? Possibly. Unnecessarily rude? Absolutely. We've known Mariah Carey has had this feisty attitude for her entire career, and I think if she switched up now, it wouldn't even make sense for her brand. At our midway point, we have Naomi Campbell coming in at number 5. The super famous 90s supermodel Naomi Campbell has had her fair share of controversies about her violent and rude behavior. One of her infamous tantrums was in 2007 when she threw a phone at her maid's head. She was also involved in other assaults where she was accused of being physically violent with staff and law enforcement. There has also been a decades-long running rift between Naomi and fellow model Tyra Banks, and both ladies have definitely had their time in the limelight of scandal. Naomi took it upon herself to set the record straight and posted an article to her Instagram about how Tyra was the mean girl, not her. Yeah. Real nice girl behavior there, I'd say. And at number 4 is the wonderful Rihanna, and it hurts me a bit to put someone so fantastic on this list, but hey, it shows that we all have our moments. In 2014, Rihanna was accused of cyberbullying a 16-year-old fan named Alexis Carter. Alexis Carter had made an appearance at a Hollywood-themed prom in Baltimore with a similar dress as Rihanna and posted a picture on social media. She decided on this outfit to pay homage to the star, but Rihanna didn't respond with the same respect, and more so with jokes. Rihanna went to Twitter to post herself wearing the outfit alongside the girl with the caption "IG and real life" and a sad emoji, and then in another picture tweeted a few minutes later to her 35 million followers, Rihanna posted a photo of the teen next to a bat-like logo of the Wu-Tang Clan, and she also retweeted the hashtag #prombat. Now our number 3 spot goes to Jesse Eisenberg. Now Eisenberg has made it clear that he is indeed a little awkward when it comes to human interaction, but the claim can only excuse her poor behavior for so much. During an interview on Say My Name, the Vivarium actor was straight up rude to Romina Puga. Jesse makes a number of critiques to Puga's interview style, jokingly accusing her of having basic interview questions written and of her being on his time when she tells him to hurry up. He had at one point during the interview told Romina to cry after the interview. The clip went viral on Twitter, which led many watchers calling him out for being quite mean, rude, and obnoxious. Although Eisenberg has an obvious dry style of humor, Romina shared how his insults and comments hurt her. However, Jesse has addressed the accusations of being a jerk to the journalist, saying, "I remember she was laughing. Even after I left, I said to the people in the room, what a relief. Like, that was the most funny, interesting interview I had all day, and that all the backlash felt completely opposite to the energy he had thought he was creating in the room." Our runner-up on this this list is Tina Fey, who is actually a self-described former mean girl. Taking accountability is always great. The SNL comedian says that she was a Regina George growing up, which she now admits was not a good look. Fey said to Net-a-Porter magazine that I was the mean girl, I admit it openly. That was a disease that had to be conquered. It's another coping mechanism. It's a bad coping mechanism, but when you feel less than, which in high school everyone feels less than everyone else for different reasons, in your mind, it's a way of leveling the playing field. Though of course, it's not. Saying something terrible about someone does not actually level the playing field. Even these days, Faye admits to still feeling a little surge of fear whenever she spots a younger mean girl out and about, clearly having had more than enough inspiration when writing the 2004 hit comedy Mean Girls. She said to the aforementioned publication, "If I met a girl of 14 or 15 today who is that kind of girl, I am secretly in my body afraid, even though I'm 45. And honestly, I sort of relate to her on this. But I've also been a teenage girl before and I know they're probably more scared of me than I am of them." And last but not least, the number one spot on our list goes to Michael Myers, the comedian and not the murderer. After a successful ride on SNL, starring in multiple thriving movie franchises, including but not limited to Shrek and Austin Powers, he's become a household name. However, as of late, the actor has fallen out of the limelight, along with a bit of a fall from grace. Many co-stars and crew have coined him as a total diva. As much as his personality on screen may seem lighthearted and fun, Amy Hill, Mike's Cat in the Hat co-star, revealed in an interview with the AV Club that working with the man was miserable. Apparently he kept everyone waiting and even had someone feed him chocolates on set. Hill also claimed that Myers didn't like anyone looking at him on set, saying he had his handlers dress his trailer and his area was all covered with tenting because he didn't want anybody seeing him. Hill claimed of the actor, who she also called a little hermit. She added, "It was so weird, it was just the worst." Honestly, this may have started as a case of Myers being a bit of a mean girl, but I think there may be some bigger issues at play.